In Virginia, owning a company long before you walk down the aisle does not mean it is safely locked away. Even if you held 100% of the equity on your wedding day, the legal system creates specific pathways for that ownership to shift. Under Virginia Code Section 20-107.3, a pre-existing business does start out as your separate property. The legal exposure doesn't actually exist when you say, "I do." It develops through the mechanics of the marriage itself. Once the marriage begins, your continued work at the company, managing teams, driving revenue, or expanding the brand, is officially classified as marital effort. This diagram shows how ownership becomes entangled over time. The solid blue block is your separate pre-marriage business, but as you pour marital effort into the company, the red bleeds in. The resulting growth becomes hybrid property. Without a prenup, this triggers a valuation fight. The business shatters into dozens of disputed fragments a court must measure during the divorce. This is an expensive, invasive process. It requires forensic accountants, billing by the hour, to dig through years of financial records. It often forces co-owners and investors into depositions, dragging your partners into a personal dispute through subpoenas for the company books. The outcome is often a court-ordered payout to a former spouse, a cash flow drain that most companies were never financially structured to survive. Without a legal barrier, a personal divorce mutates into an existential business crisis that impacts the entire cap table. Virginia Code Section 20-150 provides the fix, allowing couples to contractually categorize their property in advance. This bypasses the valuation fight entirely by answering the question of ownership before a divorce is ever filed. A well-drafted business prenup acts like a 6-part perimeter. The first 2 shields are the foundation. We explicitly name the entity itself to keep it separate, and we lock down the growth over time, the specific part of the business the law is most likely to target. The third protection defines how income is handled. It sets the rules for your salary and distributions once they are drawn from the company and enter the household. The fourth shield ensures the protection follows the value. Even if the business is sold, merged, or reorganized into a new entity, the legal classification remains unbroken. The fifth covers future ventures. This preemptively classifies any new companies founded during the marriage as separate property, overriding the default legal status. Finally, the sixth shield insulates your partners. By settling ownership upfront, there is no legal reason to subpoena co-owners or put your investors in a deposition chair. This single page of contractual language replaces years of destructive litigation with absolute certainty. However, a prenup only works if it adheres to the strict rules found in Virginia Code Sections 20-149 and 20-151. The agreement must be in writing, signed voluntarily, and built on fair financial disclosure. This means providing a stated or appraised value for your business interest before anyone signs. Attempting to lowball the company's value during disclosure is a critical mistake. It hands a spouse the exact argument needed to unwind the entire agreement years later. A deceitful or unethically drafted prenup is a false shield, and it can be just as dangerous to your interests as having no agreement at all. Signing the document is only the first step. How the founder operates the business after the wedding determines if that shield actually holds in a courtroom. Maintaining protective behavior is essential. Paying yourself a fair market salary strengthens the agreement, while casually putting a spouse on the payroll or ownership documents creates significant legal vulnerabilities. Financial hygiene is the second half of the strategy. You must keep business and household accounts entirely separate. If you use marital money to bail out the company, you are effectively inviting a judge to look past the prenup and into your books. Precise language is also a requirement. Using vague phrases like "my business stays mine" without naming the specific entity provides a roadmap for future litigation. Pacing is a statutory requirement. A rushed signature days before the wedding can prove the agreement wasn't voluntary, invalidating the entire document. The prenup is the legal blueprint, but the operational discipline you maintain every day is what actually keeps the wall standing. A business prenup is a fundamental tool for business continuity. For many founders, executing one is a fiduciary duty to partners and investors who need the cap table protected from personal legal disputes. When executed correctly, the agreement ensures that questions of ownership, growth, and company survival are permanently answered long before they can be weaponized.